I'm very good. I'm so glad this finally worked out.
Thank you so much for making this happen, because actually it's been really difficult to lock this down because you're just so busy. Describe to me what a normal day in the life of Kriti Shanon is like.
I think it depends. I do have days when I'm not doing anything at all. Probably not even taking a shower and just in my bed.
Yeah.
You know, but there are days when it's sort of packed. There are days when you have brand shoots. There are days when you're traveling. So I think it varies. These days I am just eating.
Why are you eating? Tell the world why you're eating so much.
Basically, I have to put on weight for this film that I'm doing called Mimi. And it's on surrogacy. And I've shot about 40% of it, which was supposed to be the usual me. And now it has to, because it's on surrogacy and she's pregnant. So I'm supposed to put on about 15 kilos. I've reached 10 so far. There's 5 more to go.
You can do it. Just what's your most indulgent food that you're enjoying eating at this point? Do you like the parathe? Do you like the chole bhature? Do you like, what is it that you're gorging on at the moment?
You know, I've gotten a little bored of almost everything.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, aloo paratha is something I'm having almost every day.
Okay.
Burgers, I'm having a lot.
Okay.
And I'm having moong dal halwa, which I love.
Okay.
And yeah, so my breakfast today was actually, you know what we have during Kanjak Ashtami, I don't know if you know, which is puri, halwa and chana.
Oh, love halwa puri chana is love.
So, halwa puri chana was my breakfast.
Acha.
Yeah, it's been my breakfast like twice or thrice a week types at least.
So nobody would imagine that Kriti Shanon, this beautiful, glamorous Bollywood actress, would ever be having halwa puri chana for breakfast. But this is part of the job.
This is part of the job. But I'm actually someone who's been a foodie who eats everything. I am thankfully blessed with good metabolism. Touch wood. I hope it doesn't go after this gaining weight because I have to lose it after this. But so I usually eat everything. But I think I have a small stomach and I usually eat like little bits in like 2-hour intervals.
So tell me about how this works when you're spending time dedicated to preparing for a role, like in Mimi, you're putting on the weight right now. Does it mean that it affects anything else that you can do? Because let's face it, Bollywood actresses are expected to look and act in a certain way at all times. And if you're going to put on this weight for a role, is that going to affect other things that you might be working on?
See, fortunately, I was not shooting any other film in the middle. Kind of deliberately also, because I had to give this 2 months to just gaining weight and not shoot anything else. I've done few of my brand shoots during this period, but yes, I was like, listen, I'm going to be a little overweight. I don't know how it's going to look. Are you sure? But they were like all very enthu about it. But then I was like, okay, let's finish it off as soon as possible. One thing that I had to literally say no to was dance performances, award show performances. I did one at Star Screen Awards or something, and I realized that I lose weight really fast.
Right, okay.
I lose weight really fast when I dance, especially.
I hate you, Kriti. Like, you're saying everything that I wish I could do.
but when you're dancing, it's cardio, right?
Yes.
I'm not allowed to work out right now at all. So when you dance, you lose weight really fast. So I had to sort of literally say that I can't do any performances till I have to actually lose this weight. So that has gone.
And what a shame, because actually this would have been the perfect year for you to do the dance performances, because
I know,
you had so many songs.
So many songs.
How difficult is it for you at this point when you've just had a year full of these big hits and full of these great songs, and now you're kind of restricted to what you can and cannot do because you have to prepare for another role? There's almost like a catch-22 situation here.
And I love performing. Like, I love dancing. Dancing is something that I sort of have been in love with before I even thought I could act. So, I mean, it is sort of irritating and annoying because you're like, I cannot dance, though I really want to. But I'll make up for it, I think. Once I'm losing weight, I'll do only performances.
You know, 2019 was a great year for you.
Yeah.
But it was a bit of a roller coaster, right? Because one film would do really well, one film wouldn't, one would do really, really well, and then one would do really, really bad. How do you manage all those emotions of hits and flops back to back?
I think, any film, whether it does well or it doesn't do well, that feeling stays for a little bit, like a week, 10 days, 2 weeks. But after that, you move on to your next project. You're excited about something else that you're doing in life. And you do have to just look back and see what you learned from it. whether it's a hit or a flop, but I feel like everything contributes to your journey. It contributes to how you are as an actor and what you become slowly. So I kind of take it, I go with the flow. That's about it.
But what's been the most heartbreaking moment for you so far? You know, when you thought a film was going to do well and maybe it didn't meet those expectations. I know, like, for example, Panipat was a big budget blockbuster. You know,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
mounted like a big film,
Yeah.
such a big budget.
Yeah.
When something like that doesn't do well, is that more hurtful?
Obviously, you feel sad because it's got so much hard work behind it. There are so many people who worked really hard, and a film like that actually requires a lot more work than any normal budgeted film would do. Also, because it's period, everything is a lot more effort. And it was my first period film, technically, and with Ashu sir, I was playing a Maharashtrian for the first time. Of course, it did hurt that it didn't do well at the box office, but when I read the reviews, you feel like, okay, it's gotten the respect that it deserved because the reviews were really good. An average rating was 3.5. A lot of people who watched the film, who actually went to the theater to see the film, have actually praised, and I've seen like tweets after tweets, long tweets.
Yeah.
I was sad that not too many people went to the theater.
Right.
And sometimes the timing is not right. Sometimes the clashes really
Yeah.
make a difference. I feel like the release date matters a lot. Sometimes also the kind of marketing that's done also makes a difference. So you never know, you can't pinpoint why. Yeah, but I still feel like very proud to be a part of that film because I think I have never gotten so many reviews and the appreciation that I did for Parvati Bai.
But Bareli Ki Barfi got you great reviews as well.
But I have not gotten so many messages.
Really?
Bareli Ki Barfi, yes, changed things for me. It's like a milestone in my career, always will be.
Yeah.
People started noticing me as an actor because of that film. But Panipat, the number of messages, the kind of calls and the appreciation that I got for Parvati Bai was very special. It was too overwhelming. So then it was even more like heartbreaking. The film didn't do well, at the box office. But one film that I actually feel really, really, where I was actually very heartbroken and I was sort of thrashed, and we were like really heartbroken and sulking for like days, was Rabta.
I didn't understand Rabta.
That's why it didn't work. But but that was a film that that I had worked very hard for, and I loved the script. There was just the flashback of it, which was 30 minutes of second half,
Yeah.
which I knew was a risk, which was experimental, which wasn't very generic, and it wasn't a safe thing to do. But the contemporary bits, the story of it, the feeling, the work process, the prep, everything, I think, was very, very special and close to my heart. And I think somewhere Rabta changed me as an actor, like during the prep of Rabta.
Do you think it like unlocks you a little bit?
Yes. So that one film that you feel like you open up a little bit?
Was actually Rabta not Bareli?
No.
Wow.
Bareli, of course, took me forward because I was, for the first time, stepping into a very different world.
Yes.
I had never been a part of that small town. I could never imagine myself as a Bareli ki ladki,
Yeah.
So that was sort of outside my comfort zone. But as an actor, the way you're thinking, the way you approach a scene, the way you find your craft. I've never been a part of any theatre group or, I've never done any acting workshop. So for me, it's always been learning on the job. And when I had done just 2 films before Apta, I feel like, I was still figuring out how to do scenes and how to go about it and, what is my thought process, what works for me as an actor, what doesn't. And I think I prepped a lot, and for the first time I got so much to do in Rabta because there were 2 times.
Yeah.
And, there was layered, complicated character that I opened up as a person and also as an actor. And I feel if Rabta would have been skipped in my career and I would have straight jumped to Bareli Ki Barfi, probably I would have not performed Bareli Ki Barfi so well.
Right. Because it's almost like the inhibitions have been taken out, right?
Yeah, I feel like every film sort of contributes and it opens you, or you grow, or you evolve as an actor. You figure out something that you didn't know about your craft.
But isn't it upsetting that you're only ever as good as your last film? Like, for example, Rabta released, I think, around June-July time, and a month or two later you had Bareilly,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
you had just come off this film that hadn't worked at all. Your fortunes completely changed when Bareilly released, and all of a sudden, I feel like it catapulted you to the A-list,
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
like everybody was talking about it. And then Luka Chupi happens, again you're at the top. And then an Arjun Patiala happens, again you're down. And then it's like a non-stop kind of wave of, I mean, how do you even maintain your mental sanity when you're being judged every time you have a film release? And that will decide whether a producer thinks it's worth investing in you. Do you have to kind of almost block that out of your mind?
You have to, because I feel like after a few number of films, I feel you reach a point where people know your ability as an actor. And unless and until you're having back-to-back flops and your film is not working, then it can be dangerous. Otherwise, I feel people still know that, okay, this is how she performs,
Yeah.
and, you know, she can do this character well and she can suit this part. So I feel like unless and until you're having a really bad year where everything is not working right, I don't think it really matters after a point. Because before my film has flopped, I've already worked on another film which is going to release.
Yeah.
So it's not like I don't have work. So I feel you just have to move on. Like, for example, Arjun Patiala, I feel most people skip it, you know.
They just pretend it didn't happen?
Yeah.
The songs are great,
Which is
though.
great. I'm like, because I feel it was a very different kind of film. It was a smaller
spoof
film.
movie, right?
It was a spoof movie. It was something experimental. So when it didn't work, I don't think it was like, oh my God, we really thought this was going to do very well. We always knew it could go either way.
So when you're promoting a film that you know deep down might not do that well,
No, with that film, I wanted to see how it does.
right?
Because it had not been done here before.
Have you ever had to promote a film that deep down you know this is not working?
No, but yeah, I mean, I think with Arjun Patiala, we knew that the chances could go either way, and I knew that it was a very different kind of a film.
Yeah.
You know, so I didn't know if we had enough audience that would understand that film, and I was like, okay, let's see. So I wasn't like, yay, let's go. But I was like, let me see what happens. You know, it's a spoof. I've never done a spoof before.
You know, I was watching this interview with you and your mum that you'd done together, and I saw a very different Kriti in that interview compared to the Kriti I've seen in other interviews.
Really?
Yeah, I'll tell you why. Because when you're sitting next to your mum, you are also just a normal daughter at that point. You're not the star Kriti Shanon in that interview. Do you ever worry about your family thinking that you're changing or you're becoming someone different, or that you're showing off even, or that do you have to be that much more careful about staying grounded so your family don't think you've changed?
All parents do feel like their kids are changing, and especially in an industry like this, which evolves you or changes you a lot more faster, be it for good. You know, had I been in any other industry, I would have probably changed and evolved as a person, but maybe slightly slower. Here, there's so much happening around, and the kind of people you meet a variety of people, you know, so you end up evolving as a person. You know, you open up, the way you think changes, you question a lot more things that you used to earlier. So yeah, they do feel, my mom says it to me many times, I feel you've become a little arrogant. You never used to be. But she says this to me very often.
But it must be annoying, because in your heart you're like, well, I'm the same person, I'm just
You know,
juggling
she
a lot
sees
more
my
relationships.
interviews. But she sees my interviews and she says that I think you become a little arrogant. And I'm like, but I never meant to do anything like that in the interview. I'm being myself. So I feel like she judges me a lot when she watches the interviews. So yeah, I don't know what she's going to say after this one.
Kriti, I wish you all the very best of luck going forward.
Thank
And
you so
we've got
much.
Mimi, we've got Bachchan Pandey as
Yeah.
well. Kriti, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.